they had a Sunday night game. You never know, but Mac Jones did not look good for the Jaguars in that game. If he played even halfway decent, the Jags would have gotten a huge win over the Vikings. He didn't. They couldn't. It's time for the Lions to put the Jaguars to bed.
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman, Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Finish Strong Friday, Picks Friday, Winners Friday edition of the mighty RTFP, presented, of course, by DraftKings. I might have already said that. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. What does matter is that you follow us on social media at Ross Tucker Pod, at Ross Tucker NFL. We are getting accounts. Oh, Jack, where are we on this? We already have an account on Blue Sky and these other ones now at Ross Tucker Pod.
Yep, we're on Blue Sky and Threads at Ross Tucker Pod.
All right. So if people, for whatever your reasoning is or whatever, you're going to these other ones, we will be there at Ross Tucker Pod. I'm sure I will eventually be there as well at Ross Tucker NFL. I think I'm on Threads already, but we just want to be where people are, any people ever, so that they can consume our content. Obviously, you follow us on social, you're able to see the clips of each show, the highlight clips, 2 or 3 best moments of each of the shows, Even Money, Fantasy Feast, College Draft, etc. And you're also able to know exactly when the show has been posted, because as soon as it's posted, Jack posts it, which is awesome. Picks Friday, because I'm going to give you my picks for every other game, week 11 in the NFL. Winners Friday, because I give out winners. And Finish Strong Friday, because I want you guys to feel great about what you accomplished this week, finishing strong, so that you have a terrific football watching weekend, hopefully watching me at least a little bit Sunday. Raiders, Dolphins. Realizing now, of course, I forgot to pick all the winners, so you still have a chance for Monday if you spread the word some way via social media. It shouldn't even be spread the word. It should just be engagement winner at Ross Tucker Pod, at Ross Tucker NFL, or email me, Ross at RossTucker.com. If you take advantage of any of our sponsors, they're awesome, especially WestShoreHome.com/Ross or Future Fans, where you can use that code Ross to get that cool gift for anybody you know with a child between like ages 4 to 9. Very, very cool. I did remember, Jack, to pick a YouTube shout out winner, because I noticed earlier in the week, JJ Wiley made a comment on youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL saying that this was his favorite football podcast. So thank you, JJ. Email me, Ross at RossTucker.com. Let me know who you want a cameo style video for, a shout out video. I'll do it on my phone. I'll email it to you. Or if you'd rather have a signed press pass, that is fine as well. Got a lot of games to get to. Obviously, we got to get to the recap of Thursday Night Football, Eagles, Commanders. I was on the call for it. It's presented by Labatt Blue Light. Drink those Labatt Blue Lights with your family, friends this weekend, living life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. Big Show time.
The Big Show.
Thursday Night Football was a wild game. It was a defensive struggle, maybe an offensive struggle for the first half for sure, maybe even through the first 3 quarters. Frankie Louvu and Mikey Sainristil were everywhere for the Commanders. All of their offense went through Austin Eckler, who had a big night for the Commanders. But in the second half, the Eagles absolutely took over, in large part behind Saquon Barkley and that offensive line. Saquon Barkley almost went for over 200 yards again for the Eagles, broke the game open with 2 long touchdowns where the hole was so big you probably could have driven a bus through it. Unbelievably impressive job by the Eagles offensive line. I thought the 2 biggest plays of the game were, number 1, when the Commanders, for some unknown reason, down by 2, after they lost yardage on 2nd and 1 and 3rd and 1, they go for it on 4th and 2 rather than kick the field goal to take the lead. I don't know if that's analytics or what, but makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. The Eagles follow that up with a big catch and run by Dallas Goedert, but he fumbled. The backup tight end, Grant Calcaterra, if he's not there to recover that fumble, it might have been a different game. Eagles pull away with the big win in the fourth quarter, 26-18. All right, we are just about in the holiday season, which means it's time to watch football and make delicious Smirnoff cocktails. From Thanksgiving to Black Friday and Christmas, Smirnoff and the NFL, they are with you every step of the way. This holiday season, when you're enjoying the game and your cocktails, please make sure to drink responsibly. Take a minute, make a plan, never drive impaired. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff number 21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York to New York. Please do not share with anyone under legal drinking age. There's a reason Smirnoff's the world's number one vodka and an official vodka partner of the NFL. Smirnoff, we do game days.
Want to know which team is going to win every single game on Sunday? Then listen up.
All right, Ross, we're going to kick off the games with the Packers. They're at the Bears in Chicago.
Should be a good one. Well, maybe not. I'm hoping it's a good one. You know, I think that's what I just say sometimes. Should be a good one. I don't know. It could be a terrible one. The Bears have been pretty terrible. If the Patriots just beat them by 16, maybe the Packers will beat them by more than that. Packers coming off the bye, so we'll see if Jordan Love looks like he's 100%. Did not appear to be 100% in that last game he played. I think, what was it, against the Lions? Didn't look like he was 100% in that one. But hopefully the bye let him heal that. And we're all curious to see what the changes on the offensive side of the ball do for Caleb Williams and the Bears. It has been ugly. You heard Greg Cosell yesterday talking about it and some of the issues from Caleb Williams' perspective, which I appreciate. I feel like everybody else, all they do is blame the Bears organization. You know, oh, the coaches stink and they shouldn't have done this and this. There's truth to all of that. But maybe a little bit of accountability, a little bit of responsibility for the number one overall pick quarterback who, as Greg mentioned, got sacked over 80 times his last 2 years in college. It'd be really hard to pick the Bears to win this game. I'm not going to do it. I do think their defense is pretty good, though. So I'll go 20-13 Packers.
Next up, the Jaguars. Them and Mac Jones are headed to Detroit to play Lions.
Right. This was pretty easy this week. Mac Jones and the Jags on the road. Yeah, that's going to be my larceny lock of the week. Presented by Larceny Weeded Bourbon. Lock in a win and seize tonight. Bardstown, Kentucky, 46% alcohol by volume. Think wisely. Drink wisely. Pick the Lions wisely. They'll probably win the game wisely. Now, you know, they had a Sunday night game. You never know, but Mac Jones did not look good for the Jaguars in that game. If he played even halfway decent, the Jags would have gotten a huge win over the Vikings. He didn't. They couldn't. It's time for the Lions to put the Jaguars to bed officially. I think the Lions win. I mean, this could get ugly. I'll say 31-16 maybe? 31-13? Blowout.
Next up, we have a game you might know a thing or two about, the Raiders. They're at the Dolphins.
The Raiders. Love these teams' uniforms. Love their history going back to the 70s. Love their national, and someone pointed out to me on social media, international fan bases, which is very cool. Hopefully a lot of people watch on the Red Zone or watch on Sunday Ticket, because it's not going to a huge audience with a bunch of other 1 o'clock games. Really hard to pick the Raiders in this one. I will say this. If you pick the Raiders, you are showing faith in the changes they made on the offensive side of the ball. You are showing faith in new offensive coordinator Scott Turner and his father, Norv. And you are putting a lot of stock, as Steve Fezzik talked about on the Even Money Betting podcast, into the rest disparity. The Raiders are coming off of a bye. So the Raiders have had 14 days of rest. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Dolphins played in LA on Monday night. They probably didn't get back to Miami till like 6 a.m. So they've had arguably 6 days rest to recover for this one. That would be the edge for the Raiders. I just think the Dolphins, Tua is completing 77% of his passes since he came back from IR. Their defense looked awesome on Monday night. Give me the Dolphins in this one. Obviously, hoping and praying as the broadcaster for the game that it's a close one. And I think the Raiders will be able to hang for a while. I'm going to say 23-16 Dolphins.
Next up, we have the Danny Amendola Bowl. The Rams, they're at the Patriots.
Nice. Do you remember Danny Amendola with the Rams?
Yeah, I was like middle school, like 12, 13.
When was that? I barely remember him with the
2012,
Rams.
2013.
Yeah.
I'm easy. He's got to take the number minus 2,000.
That's nice. That is
Yeah.
easy. You were born in 2000?
Yeah.
Gosh, I remember New Year's Eve when it turned 2000. I was 21. That was a good night, my friend. That was a good night on a lot of different levels. Oh, man. So the Rams desperately need to win the game to stay in the mix, but it's a short week for them. They're coming off of a very bad performance against the Dolphins. I suspect that they'll be able to get it. Patriots have been pretty consistent the last couple of weeks, and they've gotten a win. I think this is like a back and forth game. I think it could go either way. I'll ultimately take the Rams just because this is the way the NFL works, right? I think it's more likely that the Rams win instead of losing 2 in a row than the Patriots win 2 in a row. Good game, though. 23-20. 20-17 Rams.
Next up, the Browns. They're traveling New Orleans to play Saints.
So the Browns got a few weeks ago in that game I called for CBS against the Ravens, they got the new quarterback boost with Jameis Winston. And then the Saints just got the new interim head coach boost with Darren Rizzi. There's no more boosts left. There's no boosts. Although the Browns are coming off of a bye, so maybe the Browns get the post-bye boost. I think the Saints come back to earth. I think that's the way the NFL works. I just talked about this with the Rams and the Patriots. Browns refreshed, Browns healthy, Browns coming off a bye. Saints had all the emotion and everything to be able to win that game against the Falcons, division rival. I think now it's Jameis's revenge. I think the Browns win this one. Gosh, their favorite? I thought this was going to be my underdog. Whatever. Let's go Browns 24, Saints 17.
One of the two biggest games this weekend, the Ravens, they're at the Steelers.
Yep. We talked about it all week. Greg and I did. Damashek and I did. By the way, I got a lot of good positive feedback from the Damashek episode on Wednesday. He will be back. Big fan of Dave Damashek. I just like some of the topics we talk about. You know what I mean? Like food and uniforms and stuff. I'm a fan of incorporating that conversation in from time to time. I like the Ravens to win the game. You know, Steelers coming off a big, close win. But remember, the Ravens played Thursday night. So extra time to rest, extra time to prepare. I do think the status of some of their injuries, like Kyle Hamilton, something to keep an eye on. That's obviously huge in the game. And as good as Russell Wilson's been, he's still not Lamar Jackson. 20-17 Ravens, 3-point game, same as it ever was.
Great song. Minnesota Vikings at the Tennessee Titans.
What is that song?
I think that's literally how it's called. Or no, that's the album. Talking Heads. Once in a Lifetime.
The name of the album is Same as It Ever Was?
Pretty sure.
Yeah, there's some song though
It's
where
called
I feel like they go same as it ever
yeah,
was.
Once in a Lifetime. That's the
How's
name
it
of the
go?
song. It's like letting the days go by on the water hole. That's
Where's the same as ever was part?
it's like same as it ever was, and he like repeats it like 7 times. I don't remember the exact part in the song. I
Oh,
just
it's
know
like same as it ever was.
yeah, and it's
Same
like
as it ever was.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Nice, Jack. You know what? Someone I saw on social media was complimenting your contributions to the show. I like it. Very well done, especially after I threw you under the bus on Philadelphia radio. What game are we talking about?
Vikings Titans.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to pick the Titans to win the game. Although, how about the Vikings? They had the Jaguars last week, the Titans this week. I mean, not exactly a murderer's row for the Vikings right now with some of these games they're playing. I don't think they're going to blow them. I think it's another really closely contested game. Programming note, I did see where Dr. Chow, sportsinjurycentral.com, said that J.J. McCarthy didn't actually have a second surgery. He just had some type of PRP injection. So somebody might have said procedure, and then the person might have thought procedure meant surgery, but that's not as bad as a surgery, just getting a PRP injection. So that's good news for the Vikings. The other good news for the Vikings is I think they'll win the game. Titans defense is pretty good. So this will end up being somewhat similar to the Vikings Jags last week. I'll say it's 17-13 Minnesota.
Got a Super Bowl III rematch. The Colts, they're at the Jets.
Do you know why I said Minnesota like that, Jack?
Not coming off the top of my head.
That's how people in Minnesota talk. Like
That-
when they
that
say
was-
Minnesota, like that's how it sounds. Minnesota. Anyway, probably never met somebody from Minnesota in your whole life, have you?
I don't think I have.
Yeah, we gotta get you out of the bubble, bro. We gotta get you out of the bubble. All right. So Colts, Jets. Interestingly, the money came in on the Jets after it was announced that Anthony Richardson would be the quarterback. On Tuesday's Even Money podcast, the Colts were getting 3.5. And I liked them getting 3.5. Now they're getting 4, but now it's Richardson starting. I don't feel nearly as good about it. That's one of the issues with recording Even Money podcast on Tuesday. However, we benefit from it greatly, a lot as well. I'll take the Jets to win the game. I think they'll bounce back. I have a tough time picking Anthony Richardson to win a game. You know, based on how I've seen him play, I don't see it. I think the Jets win, and a win for the Jets here more or less knocks the Colts out, I would say, of realistic playoff contention. You know, then at this point, they'd both be 4-7. I mean, they both would still have a chance. You go 9-7, you might get in, but I don't know. I'll take the Jets. Aaron Rodgers bounce back 23-20 over the Colts.
The Atlanta Falcons, they're at the Denver Broncos.
Sneaky, juicy game here, Jackie boy, because both these teams desperately need it. Right now, they would both be in the playoffs. So there's a couple games that aren't one of like the 3 marquee games, but Falcons, Broncos, Chargers, Bengals, which we'll get to, I think are pretty fun, compelling matchups. Man, I've gone back and forth on this one. I think you can make an argument either way. I guess I'll take the Broncos playing at home with the altitude. I don't know, though. They both had really tough losses. Give me the Broncos. Don't feel great about it. How about 24-23 Denver? But this is like a true toss-up game. Would not be surprised at all if the Falcons win. But outside, elevation, Denver at home, Denver D. I'll take the Broncos. 24. Let's go 20-17. A little bit lower scoring.
Got an NFC West battle. The Seahawks, they're at the Niners.
I didn't even mention this one when I talked about the other compelling matchups for playoff reasons, but that's exactly what this game is as well, right? I mean, you've got a Niners team that it's interesting because they looked better, and Greg mentioned, you know, that they played more the way they wanted to play with McCaffrey and the matchups he creates in middle of the field. They still barely beat the Bucs. That said, a lot of that was because of the missed field goals by Jake Day 2 pick Moody, the Niners field goal kicker, who really struggled in that one. Not sure what to make of the Seahawks coming out of the bye. Really not sure what to make of the Seahawks, period. It just feels like they've really been up and down. I think that they're due for an up game. So that would be a positive. After that tough loss to the Rams and the bye, they've made some changes, including at off the ball backer. But man, you look at it, I forget what it is, but the Niners have really, really had the Seahawks number. I will expect that to continue. I think this one ends up probably similar to the Baker Bucks game. How about 27-20 Niners win?
Got the marquee matchup of the weekend, the Kansas City Chiefs. They're at the Bills.
I can't ever remember a game that was this hyped up, that we were this excited about, that was this good of a game. Chiefs off to their best start in franchise history. Bills off to their best start since the 90s. And yet, I can't help but feel like, Jack, it doesn't really matter that much who wins the game. It feels like inevitable that these teams are on a collision course to face each other off again in the playoffs. Might not happen, by the way. They could lose to Pittsburgh or the Chargers or the Ravens or whatever. We know that. But just seems like they play in the regular season and the Bills win every year. And then they play in the postseason and the Chiefs win the rematch in the playoffs every year. I mean, I've done a lot of media this week with people in Buffalo, and it's almost like, do you even want to win the game if you're a Bills fan? I mean, yes, you do. The place will be rocking. You want to win every game you can. They'll go ahead and they'll be able to take a step closer, I guess, to maybe even getting home field advantage if they can win the game. I don't think that they'll get home field advantage, but they'll take a step closer. But ultimately, it's the game in January, the likely game in January between these two teams that really matters. I'll take the Bills to win this one because I don't envision the Chiefs going 20-0. I don't think they'll go undefeated, and this would be the game they would lose, right? Like, I mean, if you look at it, if you look at their schedule, at the Bills, with those people going crazy, dark out, Josh Allen, the way the Bills have been playing, this would be the game that the Chiefs would lose and then probably beat them in the playoffs, if we're being honest. I think we'll all believe that the Bills can beat the Chiefs in the playoffs when we actually see it. Give me the Bills in this one. I think it's 20-17. Both defenses playing at a pretty high level. So despite these stellar quarterback, MVP caliber quarterbacks, I don't think there's a lot of points. 20-17, Buffalo gets the win. The Chiefs will no longer be undefeated.
Cincinnati Bengals. They're at the LA Chargers.
Go, Chargers, go. So this game's going to be awesome. It's interesting to me to see that the Chargers, for those of you that are so inclined, are only favored by 1.5, and they're the home team. I don't know that a ton of people from Cincinnati are flying out to LA for this one, maybe. So they're basically saying they think these teams are even, which I don't know that they are. I mean, the Bengals are 4-6, haven't beaten anybody with a winning record. The Chargers are 6-3 and have won 3 in a row. This does feel, though, like a Sunday night, desperate times call for desperate measures. I just have a tough time picturing the Bengals being 4-7 after this game and out of it, essentially out of it, or very much on the outside looking in. Let's get an upset in here, Jack. Let's get the underdogs in here. Bengals, the first team to score a bunch of points against the Chargers, more than anybody else has. 24-23, Cincy finally wins a close game late.
And we'll wrap things up with the Texans. They're at the Cowboys.
Yeah, they are. How about them Cowboys? We got the battle for the state of Texas. Throw out the records when the state of Texas in pro football is on. Isn't it funny, how Texas A&M is such a huge rivalry, and Texans Cowboys, it's not really a rivalry. Nobody really cares that much, and also nobody would pick the Cowboys to win the game. They might win the game, but nobody would pick it. The good news for CeeDee Lamb and Cooper Rush is it's a night game, so the sun shouldn't be a huge factor in this one. Ultimately, though, the Texans are starting to get healthier. Nico Collins, Will Anderson. This is now when they roll. This is now when the Texans kind of go on their run at this point and have a chance to really do something special. So I'll take the Texans to win the game Boy, the Cowboys defense has been so bad at home. Like, really bad. Give me Houston to put up pretty good numbers. How about 31-17 Texans? I think they stomped the Cowboys by 2 scores. That'll do it, by the way, for an awesome week here on the Ross Tucker Podcast Network. If you didn't already check out either Fantasy Feast podcast, please do so, or the Even Money Betting Podcast, or the College Draft Podcast, all of which are still timely before the college games tomorrow, before the NFL games Sunday. Plenty of time for you to check them out. And please follow us at Ross Tucker NFL. And remember, at Ross Tucker Pod, I'm giving out 2 more winners. Spread the word winner and sponsor confirmation email winner on Sunday. I want it to be you. Ross at RossTucker.com. I think we're done here.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
Shout out myfrontpagestory.com. Do any of you people even listen when I say this? Does anybody even listen? Why is nobody sending me an email, Ross at RossTucker.com, with their order at myfrontpagestory.com? I'm telling you, I guarantee it'll be the best gift that your loved one has ever received. I'm telling you, myfrontpagestory.com. I also love Pizza Boy Brewing. It'd be a good gift card. Sporticulture, HumanHeadNYC.com. How about BackOfficeScheduler.com?